I'm just going to review creating a chart with Excel version 2013. And the reason I'm doing this is because it changed a little bit from version 2010 to 2013 as far as the charts. Not really creating the chart, but some of the editing to the chart. So I'll do this really quick. Here's this Save Sable river that we do when we first start with Excel. Now I'm also seeing these little hashtags or pound signs down here, which means it's not an error. It just means that there's not enough room for the numbers to show up in here. Remember, you could fix that by highlighting these cells down here and going to Format, and we're just going to do Auto Fit Column Width. It should spread them out long enough to fit in those numbers. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first, and we're just going to make one chart here, and we could make multiple ones, but this will be fine with one chart. We're going to make a chart that shows the totals for all the cities, meaning their total amounts for the fundraising. Not all this stuff in here, corporate direct mail, all this stuff, we're not worried about that. We're worried about the corporate totals for the cities, and that information's at the bottom. Okay, the information over here is the totals based on if it's corporate, direct mail, fund runs. That's based on the category. These totals are for the city. So we only need, I'm going to highlight and drag across. I'm going to highlight Allentown right through town of Cary. And then I'm going to highlight these down here. Now I could highlight everything, but then I'd get a clustered chart with all these different columns in, which I do not want right now. I just want the total. So I'm going to hold Control. So make sure you hold Control and then drag the same amount of cells. Make sure if you selected 6 cells up here, you hold 6 cells down here. Same amount. You don't want an odd and even number or any kind of unusual number together. So you always want to keep them even. So I have those 2 groups of cells selected, and then this is pretty easy. I'm just going to go to Insert, and I'm going to go over to Chart, and then there's all these different charts here. They have recommended. I usually start off, I'm just going to use a column chart, and there's 3D chart, and you could hover over it to see what it looks like. There's just kind of a flat chart. There's with some shadows, there's clustered charts, which is only when you're using multiple types of data, which we're not. So I'm just going to use a regular 2D chart, and I'll click on that. And you can see the parts of the chart. I'll move this down a little bit so it's separated. Now it used the color that I'm using in here. Now you can see there's a chart title, and there's the information on the Y-axis and information on the X-axis. Those are the categories. And this is new with 2013. There's these little they have a kind of an edit button that's here for chart styles. That's helpful. I'm going to click that first, and I'll scroll down and look for a different chart style. And how about that? That looks pretty cool. And I'll use that first because it has that nice kind of black gradient background, and the charts are a little more 3D looking. So it's a nice way to find some different colors to match the colors you're using in your spreadsheet. Also, we used to go up here for other versions. Now, if we want to add things to the chart elements, these are called, and they have a little plus sign, and there's axes, which we already have the information on the axes. We also can put on axis titles. If I just click here for axis titles, and if you see a little arrow, they'll show you which ones they mean. There's a horizontal and vertical, and this is exactly how I like to put them. I like to do axis rotated like that, going up at an angle, and here's the horizontal down here, axis title. And what you could do is I'm just going to go down here and select this box, and I'll go up in my formula bar if I don't want to type it in the box, and I'll just go cities, and I'll make it a capital C, and hit return. And it puts cities down here in my axis, and I'll go over here to my axis, and I'll change that, and I'll just make it fundraising dollars. Just make it a very general kind of title, just so I have that over there. Okay, and you can edit the way this looks. You could change the colors. I could highlight these things and go back to the Home tab and change the colors, whatever you want to do. I'll do that right now. I'll go there. Let's say I just want to make it yellow, just to stand out. And then I could go to this one and do the same thing. I'll make it yellow. So there's my axis titles in yellow. Other axis titles, now we already have a chart title here. If you didn't have one, you can add a chart title, but it's adding one. And again, you can highlight this little chart title in here, or you could just type it up here. And I'm just going to put, fundraising totals by city. You want to keep it short. I think I have that right. And if I wanted to do that in a color, I could do that as well. I'll pick like a light blue to put up here. And you could change the font or anything else. You could also move this thing around. One thing you can't do, which is odd, you can't change the size of this. I can't drag the corners here and make this wider in case it breaks on 2 lines. You'd have to make a separate text box to do that, which is a little odd. Okay, last thing here that you may want to mess with. We have our axis titles. Those are these. We have our chart title. They also have something called data labels. And if you're not sure what they are, just click on data labels and go to the little thing out here, and you can see what they look like if they're on center, inside end, inside base, outside end, data callout, and then there's other options too. But just for now, I usually use outside end is usually the easiest to read. And you could move these around if some of them overlap a little bit. So I'm going to choose outside end. And like this one here, if I can just click on one of them, I'm going to just bump it up a little. I'll click it a second time. You click them all, and then I'll see if I could bump it up a little. And I'll drag it up a little bit. Not the easiest thing moving these around, but that's fine. That takes it out of the way. Even this one I may want to click once, click again, and now get that little quad arrow. And you can see it's not the easiest thing to grab. And I'll move it up just a little bit so it's away from the other, and that's it. I could change the colors of these. Notice if I click on these at once, they're all highlighted. So if I did want to make them a different color, if I wanted to make these all, if I wanted to go to Home tab and make them all yellow, I could, or red or something. Red's really hard to see. Let's see, I'll make it yellow. Now they're really easy to see. So again, you just click on your chart. Plus sign are all the chart elements that you would add. In the past, you used to go up to here to format and design. That's where they used to have some of those things, but now they have them down here, which is helpful. And also the chart styles is helpful down here. So that's just a little overview. Remember, you could scale a chart from grabbing the corner. If you click on the chart and just look for the little diagonal arrow down there, you could make it bigger or smaller. Keep in mind it may move things around a little bit if you make it too small. But there's a bigger chart, and you could copy and paste this chart to a Word document or whatever you want to do with it. You could make multiple charts and put them here on your page. You could delete your chart and start over, or you could even change your numbers. If you found out the town of Cary made $100,000 here, or $1 million, or whatever they did, I could just hit enter, and wow, look at all that money the town of Cary made. So I'm going to undo that. But your chart will update based on the data being updated as well that's in your spreadsheet. It won't do that if you copy and paste it to Word unless you have it linked somehow. But anyway, that's just a quick little overview of editing charts